Yo guys, what is going on? Got some EX1 gameplay for you guys. So on the left, we are seeing Mastemon slash Dynasmon yellow. Really fun deck, very aggressive deck. Focuses a lot on recovery as well as trashing your opponent's security, as well as your own to play back a bunch of Digimon. So we see the Bushi Agumon Digivolve in the breeding area, and then just a Pulsemon played for 3, allowing the yellow player to draw a card. Now the red player on the right is playing a Digimon deck focused around the Greymon line. So not only playing stuff like Metal Greymon and War Greymon, but also playing the whole Agumon like Omnimon package as well. So the EX1 Agumon there lets you search tamers as well as any Agumon or Digimon with Agumon in its name. So really nice searcher, nice consistency card. So we're going to see that evolve, and then 2 Flamers played for a total 7 cost, so a Marcus for 4, as well as a tie for a 3 cost. And then we're going to see the Pulsemon swing run into an Agunimon in security, going to die, and then TK is going to play for a 4 cost, allowing the yellow player to look through the security. We see lots of good stuff in there, another TK as well as a Wyvern's Breath, and he's going to grab a Pulsemon. So then red is going to go ahead and start his turn with 3 memory because of the Marcus, and if he does bring out the Agumon there, he will gain another memory and a draw as well thanks to the tie effect. So going to draw the card and gain the memory there, putting him to 4, so hopefully allowing himself to draw into more level 4s to be able to Digivolve. So now we've got a Corgimon, the 6000 blocker there, evolved for a 2 cost, which is pretty nice this early in the game, but what yellow can do a lot of the times is just chill in the breeding area, and then when it's time to go into their Dynasmon or their Mastemon, they can just bring it out, trash their security, and go about their day. So then we're going to see a Metal Greymon, the EX1 Metal Greymon Digivolve for a 3 cost, and then on the yellow player side, we're going to see an Andromon Digivolve for a 3, and then Andromon's on evolve effect does security attack -2 on the Metal Greymon, so we won't be able to check any security cards if he does attack the player next turn. And then are we going to see any level 6 follow that up? Yes, we are going to see a Dynasmon Digivolve for 4, so the Dynasmon will allow the player on the left to reveal the top 6 cards of the deck and add any of those Digimon, any 2 of those Digimon to his hand, and then the rest go to the trash. So we are going to see the War Growlmon added, as well as the Mastemon, and then the rest are going to go to the trash, which is not even that bad of a thing, because Mastemon can just bring back your Bushi Agumons, your Starmons, etc. From the trash whenever you need be. So it's a really nice combo there. Not going to be able to recover with the Dynasmon because he is at 4 security, I do believe. So then the player on the right is going to start with 4 memory because the Dynasmon does cost 4, which is quite a little bit, but it is well worth the price. We're going to see a Metal Greymon Alterius Mode Digivolve for a 1 cost, since he is Digivolving it over a level 5 Digimon, and because he's got the Koromon underneath as well as the Agumon, if he does decide to attack, he will get not only a draw but also a search for the top 3 cards of this deck. So I'm thinking maybe the player on the right's hand was not the best, because we do see a lot of evolutions there. So we saw the Metal Greymon, of course, to just draw more cards, and he's actually going to swing in just a little bit to be able to gain more advantage off of that. And then we're going to see the Agumon evolved in the breeding area for a 0 cost, and then a tie played for 3. So we've got double tie on the field, which is really nice, especially next turn when he does bring that out, or not, because we're going to see a Corgimon evolved for 2. So that play was a little bit questionable, but I guess he did want to just be able to build up into his megas as quickly as possible. That's kind of what this deck wants to do. It's really just a 1-stack deck where you go into your War Greymons and then just hit your opponent really hard. So maybe he thought that being able to go into the Corgimon outweighed the 2 draws and the 2 memory from the tie. We're going to see the player on the left then go into the War Growlmon on top of the Wizardmon there, and then pass it back over to red on the right there. So red will start with 3 memory, got the Metal Greymon Alterius Mode, and the yellow player is not actually swinging with the Dynasmon, which is definitely a good play, because if he does go into, swing into a Dynasmon, maybe trigger the Andromon effect, best case scenario, the red player will most likely just go into a War Greymon and attack over the Dynasmon Digimon, and losing a Dynasmon to a very aggressive red deck is probably not something you want to do. So we're going to see the Metal Greymon attack security. It is only 8,000, I believe, and then we're going to see a draw as well as a reveal 3 to get any of those Agumons. Now the cool thing about that EX1 Agumon is that it not only searches Agumon himself, but it searches any Digimon with Agumon in his name, so things like Agumon Bond of Bravery or Agumon Expert. So then we're going to see the opponent check one security card, which is the Andromon, and then possibly get the recovery one on top of his security stack because of the Dynasmon. There we go. So we got the recovery +1. So then after that, we're going to see a Gaia Force for 8, putting the yellow player to 7, getting rid of the Dynasmon. Now, I do think attacking with the Metal Greymon, although you got 2 free cards to your hand, was not necessarily the correct play, because now the War Growlmon can come out of the breeding area, detach to materials, and then minus 4,000 on the Metal Greymon to then attack over it. But to be fair, the Metal Greymon out of the breeding area will come out and be able to attack, and then of course we'll get that +2 memory, draw 2 cards. So maybe that offsets the loss of the first Metal Greymon. So we're just going to see the War Growlmon swing, and then possibly see a Mastemon play here, because the yellow player does have quite a lot of memory to work with. So we are going to see Mastemon Digivolved for 4 on top of the War Growlmon. The top card of security is going to be trashed, and then as well as a draw, and then Mastemon then says you can bring back any yellow or purple level 4 or lower Digimon from your trash for no cost. So if you bring back something like Bushi Agumon, which has got Rush, you can then attack right away, effectively taking out 2 of your opponent's security cards just from evolving, which is really, really cool. So we're going to see a Pulsemon, since the yellow player is at exactly 3 security. We're going to see both effects trigger, so then he's going to get +1 memory as well as a free draw from the Pulsemon. We're going to see a Unimon evolve for 2. Putting up a blocker is definitely a good idea against a aggro red deck, and then possibly going to see something like that Mimicmon dropped for only a 2 cost, since my opponent is the yellow player, I do apologize, is only at 2 security, or 3 security, but anyways, 3 or fewer. So they will be able to play the Mimicmon for only a 2 cost, which is really crazy, especially considering it is a level 4 Digimon. So we're just going to see 2 of those things thrown down onto the field. Now the red player is in a position where he is facing lethal down, so he really does need to bring out the Metal Greymon. Does not really have much of a choice, so we're going to gain 2 memory, draw 2 cards, and then bring out the Metal Greymon. So putting him at 5 memory can do quite a lot with this. If we see a War Greymon Omnimon play, that could definitely take out a couple of Digimon on the field right now. He either needs to go for a game, which I don't think is possible, because we don't see something like the security tech +1 Greymon underneath that stack. So he's only going to check 1 to 2 cards depending on which War Greymon we've got. So we do have the EX1 War Greymon Digivolved for a 4 cost. So that guy does have Blitz, and then whenever he attacks, if you've got a Tamer on the field, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with blocker. So he is going to go ahead and attack over the Mastemon, delete the Unimon, all for a 4 cost, then of course being able to gain the memory off Marcus, as well as draw a card off of the Koromon. And War Greymon is sitting at 14,000 right now because of the Metal Greymon Altarius mode, giving +2,000 to the Digimon if it does have a Greymon or Omnimon, I believe, in its stacks. Then we're going to see the Nokia played for a 3 cost, and then Agumon's going to hit the field, grabbing both BT1 War Greymon as well as BT5 Omnimon, being potentially able to push for game next turn. So that's a really strong play, being able to get rid of 2 Digimon. Now the yellow player is going to start, has got double Mimicmon on the field, which is not the worst thing. We could potentially see something like an Anjuamon stunning the War Greymon, or the starter deck Anjuamon and recovery +1. We also do see the Wyvern's Breath in hand there as well. So lots of cards to work with. I definitely think the yellow player does have outs to this field. So we are going to see the Mimicmon potentially attack security. I guess he doesn't need both of them on the field, so that is actually going to live. And then we're going to see the Anjuamon come down for a cost of 3, depending on which one he puts it on. Okay, that is definitely the better play, I think. So we're going to put it on the Unsuspended Mimicmon, Digivolve, draw a card, and then recover 1, because Anjuamon says if you're at 3 or fewer security cards, you get to recover 1 whenever you do Evolver, which is really, really crazy. And then finally, to end off the turn, do we see a Mastemon, or do we see a Yellow War Greymon in hand is there as well, which I don't think is a correct play because you will have to pass turn. You really want to do that on your turn. We're just going to see the Starmons played for 3, getting rid of the Agumon. Now, we did see the Wyvern's Breath, so because he knows the Omnimon is coming, I think it might have been better to get rid of the War Greymon, but maybe he feared by giving his opponent 8 memory, he could just go into another one and game him. But regardless, we're going to see the Starmons get rid of the Agumon, and then, of course, once again, put lethal on the field for the red player. So we're going to see the Agumon Digivolve in the breeding area there, and then we know he does have the Omnimon in hand, so if we do see Greymon attack, War Greymon attack, Omnimon, as well as maybe an Agunimon, but no, we are not going to see that because the Greymon evolving does put him only at 1 memory to work with, so not enough to be able to go for lethal. Will we see a blocker potentially? Because we do see the red player has 2 security, so putting up a blocker would possibly put him off of lethal if there was a Gaia Force in security, but that is asking quite a lot. So what we're going to see here is the Red War Greymon's attack probably. I really don't think he has any other option. I think here he should either get rid of the Mimicmon or just try to push for game if he does have the correct cards to do it. Maybe we might see something like a Lightning Joust throw down onto the field as well. That would be a really, really crazy comeback card. But no, we're just going to see the War Greymon attack the Mimicmon. So the Mimicmon is going to die. So that is 3 Digimon to the Red's 2 security. Also going to suspend the Marcus to gain a memory, putting him back at 2. Memory, and then after that, are we going to see a Metal Greymon in breeding area or something? I think realistically you need to expect Yellow to have possibly like Bushi Agumon, especially this late in the game when he has gone through quite a bit of his deck. So we're just going to play a blocker on the field, putting the opponent on the left 2-3. So we're going to bring out that Pulsemon. We see the Wyvern's Breath, we see the War Greymon, and War Greymon is definitely bad news because not only can he attack 2 times, but he can also add the top card of security to -6,000 on that Cordramon. So we are going to see the War Greymon evolved, swing at security, going to add the top card of security to hand to then unsuspend War Greymon as well as -6,000 on the Cordramon, and then he will attack again. But of course the first check needs to go through first before that happens. So red memory boost is the first check. The second check will then be a Gaia Force, which will delete one of the rookies there, but it's not going to matter since the Starmons can just swing for game. So guys, that's going to be game 1. Game 2, the red player will actually make Yellow start. So Yellow is going to start with the Bushi Agumon and Wizardmon evolved onto the breeding area, leaving the red player with just 2 memory. Wizardmon is a really nice one because you do get the +1 memory every time your security is reduced, or like a card is taken out of the security stack. And then we're going to see a pretty ideal opening from red as well. Going to see the EX1 Agumon, the started Greymon, as well as a red memory boost played for a 3 cost, being able to reveal the top 4, add any of those red Digimon to the hand. I think it depends on what your hand is, so I would probably say Metal Greymon is the safest play if you do have a Mega in your hand, but if not, maybe getting the Searcher Agumon is nice as well. So we're going to see the BT5 Agumon grab there, and then the yellow player will start with 3 memory. We do see the TK Takaishi in his hand, so TK is going to play for 4, leaving the red player with 1, which is a really nice move because not only do you set yourself up for 3 memory, but then now you are also choking your opponent. We did see yet another Wyvern's Breath insecurity, so a really, really strong start by the yellow player, grabbing the Dynasmon there, being able to then later on search up to 2 Digimon, and then of course being able to constantly recover 1. So we're going to see the Agumon played for a 3 cost, grabbing the Metal Greymon off of the top 3, so no Omnimon there, and then the rest are going to go to the bottom, leaving the Greymon there in the breeding area safe and sound until he decides to bring him out to attack. So we're going to see the yellow player start. So I think at this point it's become kind of like who wants to keep their guy in the breeding the longest. Yellow seems to have brought his guy out earlier because we know he's got the Dynas, so we're going to see the Angemon Digivolve first, minus security attack, and then the Dynasmon play is probably going to happen right about now, being able to then mill the trash top card of his security, and then trash the top 6 and, grab any 2 Digimon from those 6 to his hand. So we're going to trash the Wyvern's Breath, unfortunately, but we are going to then reveal the top 6 cards of the deck and add any 2 Digimon to your hand that are level 6 or lower, which by the way is not color restricted. So even though Dynasmon is a yellow Digimon, the effect can actually grab any color Digimon, so it can grab Mastemon as well, but we're going to see the Bushi Agumon as well as Starmons added to the hand, and then we've got a Dynasmon set up, so if my friend on the right here does end up attacking security, we will be able to recover one off of that. So red player is going to start with 4 memory, which is definitely quite a lot. I think here you go into the Metal Greymon for sure, and then depending on which Greymon you have, it looks like he doesn't have the one with Blitz, so we're not going to bring that out from the reading area. And then possibly set up a tamer if you do have one. Agumon attacking security is not going to do anything because it does have the security attack minus from the Angelmon, so hopefully we can see another tamer or something here. But yep, we are going to see Marcus played for a 4 cost, guaranteeing the red player with 3 memory, and then of course being able to gain the memory off of the Marcus every time you do attack with a Greymon Digimon. Metal Greymon over there does have a really cool effect as well. When you attack a player, you can delete something with 4,000 or lower on your opponent's turn, and then if you combine that with Alterius mode, that is quite a lot of deletion going around for your opponent's little Digimon. We're going to see the Wizardmon evolved there for 2, and then the War Growlmon evolved there for 3, which is a really nice start, especially because War Growlmon has such a powerful Digiburst effect, and then we're going to see the Starmons played for a 3 cost, deleting the Agumon with a TP of only 2,000. So right here, I do think if the red player has a Mega in hand, it is probably a good idea to bring out from the breeding area, but of course, Dynasmon is also 12,000, so if he's got, say, for example, the BT1 War Greymon, if he attacks with that, and he's got, Omnimon to follow up with it, Dynasmon will just be able to run over his stack the next turn. But luckily, we are going to see yet another fantastic reveal by the Agumon there. So we're going to grab the Omnimon there, and then we see the BT1 Metal Greymon, the Secret, as well as the Blitz War Greymon there. So 2 really crazy cards. I think it depends on what your hand is, but Blitz War Greymon is really nice because it deters him from putting up a blocker, because they're just going to be able to delete your blocker, and then of course you will be able to check a couple of cards with the War Greymon swing, since you've got the starter deck Greymon underneath it, and then the rest are going to go to the bottom of the deck. So unfortunately, if my friend on the right was big brained, he would have been able to bring out the Metal Greymon, no fear, go for the Agumon Surge, guarantee yourself the War Greymon. But no, that's definitely not the right play. So anyways, we're going to see that War Greymon added to hand, and then afterwards we're just going to see the Cordramon Digivolved for a 2 cost, leaving yellow with 3 memory to work with. So we're going to see the War Growlmon come out of breeding, which is a little bit scary because we know how powerful his level 6s are. We got Dynasmon, we got Mastemon, War Greymon as well, lots of very powerful level 6s to deal with in the yellow strategy. And unfortunately for my friend on the right, yellow does have quite a bit of good cards in his hand, because we know he's got the Bushi Agumon, Starmons, and stuff off of the Dynasmon add earlier. So one combo he could do right now is go into the War Greymon and then add the top card as security, and then once he does with the War Greymon, it'll unsuspend minus 6,000, but then you get the recovery with the Dynasmon. So we're going to see the War Greymon attack. You can then use the when attacking, add the top card of security, minus 6,000 on the blocker, unsuspend, and then attack again. I also gain a memory from the Wizardmons, so got 2 of them over there. And then you also get to recover with the Dynasmon, so really nasty stuff there. And then you're going to check security with the War Greymon, who is only 11,000 currently, but it is going to be enough to get over that Agumon. We're going to see him attack again, and then run into a Metal Greymon, alt Alterius mode, still not attacking with the Dynasmon, which is you know, a very, very conservative decision, especially because he's not going to get the trigger off of Andromon anyway, so there's not like you could argue it's not like you know, you're not getting that much advantage off it anyways, so might as well leave him on the field. Then we're going to swing with the Starmons. Red is at 2 security, so he's definitely in fear of losing, especially because we're going to play a Pulsemon to pass the turn, putting lethal on the field, and then the red player will start with just 3 memory, but potentially 5 if we do hop the red memory boost, which I definitely think you do need to do at this point. So the issue with Tribal, I think, is that because it is such a one-stack deck, and there's a lot of decks in the meta that are just outspeeding it, you kind of are in this predicament where if you bring out your guy too early, he's going to get killed, but if you bring him out too late, you're kind of going to get rushed down. So we're going to just see the War Greymon hit the field for a cost of 3, which is a really, really powerful card because he is going to be able to check 3 total cards since we've got the Star Deck War Greymon, and then his effect inherently gives him Security Tech +1 when he's evolved. So then we're also going to suspend Marcus to gain a memory, and then of course there is not going to be any option card shenanigans. Hit and Security, well, Blinding Ray doesn't have an effect anyways, but regardless it protects him from Wyvern's Breath, and then also going to get a draw as well as the Military and add a Tamer off of the Agumon there, and then by the way he also does have Piercing, so unfortunately he doesn't have any attack boost right now, but if he did say have like an Alterius mode or maybe like the promo Agumon underneath, putting him to like +2000, he could attack over the yellow War Greymon, get the Piercing, and then check Security as well. But then Dynasmon of course is going to recover since the Security did drop to 3 or lower. Getting a free recover is really nice. So even if the red player does have Omnimon, it won't be enough because he will be able to check the rest of Security, but then of course yellow's got lethal on field, so we really need to see something like a Gaia Force in Security, or potentially maybe setting up another Tamer for an Agunimon play next turn. We do know he's got the Omnimon though, so we're going to go into the Omnimon for a cost of 4. Omnimon will then let you on Digivolve, unsuspend this Digimon, and then it's got Blitz, so then you can attack once again, and then you're going to check the rest of the security cards with his inherited effect from the Star Deck Greymon. He would also technically check 3 since he's got the +1 from the War Greymon since it lasts during the whole turn, but regardless, we're just going to attack with that, and then the opponent on the left is going to hatch the Upamon. He does have 4 potential attacks, as well as a trigger from the Andromon if he does have targets in hand. We do see Bushi and a couple other cards in his hand, so we're going to swing with the War Greymon, swing with the Pulsemon, and then Gaia Force is going to get rid of the Dynasmon. Now, keep in mind here that the War Greymon is unable to attack twice because you do actually need to add the card from Security to unsuspend it, so it can't unsuspend even if you're at 0 Security. So now we've got a situation where the opponent on the left is at 3 memory, so unless he's got Blinding Ray, that Bushi in hand is not going to do anything. I think what he told me afterwards that he should have attacked with the Dynasmon because the Dynasmon could have brought out Bushi for 0, so even if there was a Gaia Force in Security, he would have been able to play it no problem. Now they're both at 0 Security. If the yellow player does pass turn, the Omnimon will be able to just attack for game, so we need to do something. We need to either recover or play a blocker or something like that. So we're going to see the Starmons played for 2, and then after that, potentially a Unimon. If he's got enough memory, he could go into the Andromon as well to recover 1, but no, we're just going to see the Unimon Digivolve, and then the turn is going to pass over to Red. So then Red is going to start with 3 memory, unsuspend the Omnimon there, who will be able to attack and then force out the block since the opponent on the left has to block, since there are no security cards like left in the security stack. So he literally has to block, so the Unimon will guarantee die. So if he's got something like a Gaia Force in hand, he could potentially wipe the whole field and then set up for a next turn, unless of course the yellow player does Bushi him for game, which would be really, really unfortunate. But we're just going to see the Nokia played for a cost of 3, playing an Agumon from hand for a 0 cost, and then potentially probably going to see a blocker on top of that, I would imagine, because that's really what you need at this point. So we're going to swing Omnimon. He's going to let the War Greymon die, which Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like, you need to keep your blocker for sure, and you only need one attack anyways, and the Unimon can attack. I think the red player probably should have, like, attack security so that the Unimon is forced to block so that you don't have to deal with the blocker the next turn. But we're just going to see a Corgimon Digivolve for 2, going back to 0 since he popped the red memory boost. And then if we see maybe another Corgimon, or like I said, a Gaia Force or something. But no, we're just going to see a tie, end it off, putting the yellow player to 3. So we're going to see the Patamon Digivolve in the breeding area. Blinding Ray activated first to go ahead and swing with the Ibushi to go to 0 memory. The red player has to block, and then we swing with Unimon. You couldn't do it in the other order, because if you did Unimon first, you would lose 2 memory. Then you couldn't play the Bushi for man. But anyways, guys, that is going to be a Bushi for game by the yellow player, and that is going to be the video. So if you did enjoy, go ahead and let me know in the comments. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.